Some harsh words. So how are the two ever going to join forces and unite against Hillary Clinton? Joining me right now, the guy who should know, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove. Good to see you, Karl.
Good to see you. Let's put that in context. He said that just after Donald Trump, on the morning that he was going to win the Indiana primary and end the contest, which was pretty clearly understood at that point, declared that Ted Cruz's father had been involved in
that's right, and there was an inquiry. Oh, by the way, that's the helicopter going right by. You just saw it tucked behind that building. That's Donald Trump descending on Cleveland.
Well, we saw the plane land not too long ago. His plane came in and landed at the Lakefront Airport. Steve Hayes and I were sitting over there at the desk watching the plane come across the glass behind us here.
And so now the helicopter to parachute him in over to here, where he'll be greeted by Mike Pence and some family members and talk to some supporters. What do you think is going to happen on stage tonight with Ted Cruz?
Well, I would be a bet. If I had to place a bet, I'd suggest that he would say at minimum that he supports the Republican ticket. I mean, it'd be very awkward for him to get there, to make a speech, and not to say, at least, I support the ticket, I support the party. We've seen this drama play out before. Most recently, I think in 1980, Ted Kennedy got up and made a speech at which the purpose of it was simply to acknowledge he was supporting the man who defeated him in the primaries, President Jimmy Carter, but to lay a predicate for the future. Ronald Reagan did this in 1976 very artfully, stood up and endorsed Gerald Ford, who had beaten him in a contentious convention in Kansas City, and laid the predicate for a future race. Basically, both of them, Kennedy at his time and Reagan in his, laid out the message of, I have a vision for the future that's going to be attractive for you if you need a backup. And
there's a way to do this.
There's a way to do that, and my suspicion is the speechwriters for Ted Cruz have been perusing both of those addresses, figuring out what worked and what didn't work.
So you're anticipating he will come on board. We just heard from Ed Conard, who worked on Mitt Romney's finance committee, and he said, look, John Kasich isn't here because John Kasich, fundamentally, it's not hurt feelings, but fundamentally does not believe in what Donald Trump stands for.
Right.
And there are many others in the Republican sphere that feel much like John Kasich. Are they ever going to be able to coalesce around Donald Trump?
Well, I'd say two things. One, first of all, I'd worry less about getting people like John Kasich, who's got a principled position that doesn't allow him to do it. I'd worry less about him coming aboard than I'd go out of my way not to offend him further. Don't give him an extra reason. Well, for example, Monday morning, Paul Manafort was asked to comment. Trump's campaign manager asked to comment on Kasich failing to come and as the home state governor, welcoming the delegates at the first session of the convention. And rather than saying, he excoriated him, called him names, talked about it, rather than saying, look, they won, Trump won. So what does it hurt to say, you know what, we wish you were here. Ohio's done a fantastic job of hosting this convention. They've rolled out the red carpet for it. We'd love for the great tradition of the host state governor coming and welcoming us. But look, he's made a decision not to. We respect that, and we're moving on.
In other words, take the high road.
Take the high road. They're the winners. Look, I've been through this. In 2000, a lot of the people who supported John McCain had hurt feelings. The last thing we wanted to do was to give them another reason to nurture those hurt feelings. So we went out of our way, and this is the challenge facing every winner of a disruptive primary. How do you best heal the party? And particularly this one is more disruptive than almost any in history that we know about because of the words that were said and the ways that it was conducted.
And so many different factions, right? The fact that so many people were running. Donald Trump has landed